Welcome to the deep dive. Today, well, we're heading into some really unsettling territory online, exploring some genuinely disturbing posts that have kind of bubbled up from the anonymous digital shadows. We're talking about those stories that sit right on the edge, where it's hard to tell if it's just an elaborate game or something terrifyingly real, the kind that stick with you. A lot of what we're looking at today comes from places like 4chan's random board, if you know it, you know it's a place. Total anonymity, threads disappear fast. It's this weird, intense environment where truth, fiction, trolling, maybe even confessions, they all just blend together. Makes it really tough to know what you're seeing.
Exactly. And that ambiguity, that's really the core of it, isn't it? I mean, most stuff on boards like that is probably made up, you'd assume, but every now and then something pops up that just feels different. It really challenges that assumption. And that's why these stories grab you, why they feel so compelling and honestly, pretty terrifying sometimes, taps into something primal.
Right. So that's our mission today. We're going to unpack these mysteries, lay out the details as clearly as we can, look at the theories flying around them. We'll give you the context of the story, and then, well, it's up to you, the listener, to decide what you think is really going on. Okay, let's get into this deep dive. First up, we're revisiting something unsettling that happened before on 4chan's B-board. Some of you might remember this. An anonymous user posted some really graphic, disturbing images. Some were thought to be murder victims. One specific image was linked to a girl, Shauna Maynard. Her murder is still unsolved. It became this sort of digital ghost story, an online cold case. But then it got weirder and more chilling. On September 22nd, after being quiet for a while, the same anonymous user came back to be. And they didn't come empty-handed. They posted again. A defiant return, almost. The first new post was stark. A piece of paper just scrolled with, "I'm back." There was a timestamp, and next to it, a photo. A man covered in blood. His eyes were hidden, like covered by another piece of paper. The caption, just 2 words, dying, dying. And then there was the post number itself. It ended in 666.
Wow. Yeah, that 666 detail, whether that was intentional or just some incredibly bizarre coincidence, it immediately ramps up the whole sinister vibe, doesn't it? It takes something already deeply disturbing and pushes it into this almost mythic space. It shows an awareness maybe of online culture, how symbols like that just feed into the darkness and the theorizing.
Absolutely. And the reaction was immediate, as you'd expect. The thread just exploded with questions, theories, horror. Then, pretty quickly, the same user posted again. Another picture of the same man, still bloodied, but a different angle this time. And the caption for this one, just dead.
Which right away brings up that question, who is this man? Is it another victim? Or, as people started speculating almost instantly, could it actually be the poster? Given that the previous images, the ones linked to Shauna Maynard, were female, the idea that this person is obscuring their own eyes for anonymity, it makes a grim kind of sense that uncertainty isn't a bug, it's a feature, It's part of the psychological game, keeping everyone guessing, blurring those lines between who's the victim, who's the perpetrator.
And it didn't stop there. More images appeared. Some reportedly show Shauna Maynard after she was killed. It was just relentless. And then the user dropped this chilling message, almost like a challenge or a threat. They wrote, "I'll be back in a month to finish our game. If it is not this exact timestamp with an updated date, it is not me."
That specific instruction, the time-bound element, that's really fascinating. It moves it beyond just posting shocking images. It feels more like an alternate reality game, an ARG, where they're deliberately messing with that line between fiction and reality. The motivation, I mean, who knows? Could be anything from actual delusion, wanting fame, maybe even wanting to get caught, or it could just be an incredibly dark, twisted, elaborate hoax. Someone just trying to create the most disturbing online experience possible. They're not just posting, they're directing something, daring people to play.
Yeah. So that announcement next month, it obviously created this huge amount of tension and anticipation online. Everyone was waiting. What would happen? Would there be answers? It leaves you hanging, right? Pondering how real something like that could be, someone just brazenly declaring this stuff online, and how much power we give these anonymous voices. Okay, so from that kind of digital threat, let's shift gears a bit. We're moving to a different kind of unsettling discovery. Something buried, literally rooted in old fears, Cold War fears. The story also starts with an anonymous post. A user talking about a bomb shelter their grandfather built. Apparently, the grandfather was terrified of nuclear war, like deeply, profoundly afraid during the Cold War. So he spent years digging this shelter out of solid rock and limestone, a huge undertaking. The user mentioned they'd never actually been inside it while their grandfather was alive, so it always had this air of mystery about it. But then, after the grandfather passed away, the user decided to go in. The reason was pretty ordinary, actually. They were looking for stuff for an estate sale. And at first what they found inside was, well, nothing too crazy. A rusty old toilet, some junk. Looked like what you might expect from someone who was, paranoid and prepping for the worst. But then, this is where it's really interesting. As they explored deeper into this man-made cave, past what seemed like the main area, they found something else. Behind an old, rusty gate, a secret chamber. And this place, it didn't look like the rest of the bunker. The user described it as feeling more like a cabin inside. Walls covered in carved religious symbols. And these weird, ornate sculptures of faces, ghostly faces. Some looked gentle, others really aggressive. And one carving in particular, a skull, just seemed totally out of place with the rest. Very jarring.
That's a strange mix, isn't it? You have the practical, survivalist paranoia building the shelter, but then you layer on this ritualistic, almost occult feeling. It's just something deeper going on in the grandfather's mind than just fear of bombs, maybe some other belief system or some activities. It hints at something much more personal and maybe darker. It's not just about surviving. It's like this space became something else, something significant in a different way. People do that with hidden spaces, right? They become symbolic, sanctuaries or something else.
Exactly. And then came the most disturbing part. The detail that just sends a shiver down your spine. Right in the middle of this hidden room's floor.
Yeah.
A large bone sticking out of the concrete. Just everyone's right there.
It looked, according to the user, like maybe human remains had been tossed into wet, quick-drying cement years ago and just left encased. A makeshift tomb. Now, what happened next is almost as weird as the discovery. That picture, the one showing the bone, it got deleted from the online thread very quickly. And then not long after, the entire thread about the bunker just vanished from 4chan. Gone. The user did apparently upload the coordinates, the location of the bunker later on. But as far as anyone knows, it's unclear if anyone ever actually went there to investigate. Or if they did, they haven't talked about it publicly.
Yeah, the deletion is always suspicious, isn't it? Does it mean it was all a hoax and the creator got scared or bored? Or does it mean it was real and someone wanted it covered up, digitally scrubbed? It really speaks to how these modern urban legends form. You mix real anxieties like the Cold War with these very personal, creepy secrets. And then the fleeting nature of online proof just adds another layer of mystery. What secrets do people bury, literally? And how hard is it to find truth when evidence can just disappear?
So yeah, that story just hangs there. It's compelling, unsettling, but ultimately unresolved. What really happened in that chamber? Why did the proof vanish? Big question marks remain. Okay, for our last story, let's pivot slightly. It's still unsettling, but maybe less. Overtly horrific. More just deeply weird. This came from a battle stations thread. You know those threads where people post pictures of their computer setups, their gaming rigs, usually just for fun, showing off their gear, right? Mostly harmless. But one user's photos, they took this really strange turn. There wasn't anything explicitly graphic, but things were just described as being a little bit off. Like maybe a pristine gaming setup, but in the background of one photo, there's a kid's rocking horse, but it's charred black and facing the corner. Or a sticky note on the monitor that doesn't have cheats, but just has something cryptic like, the best things happen in the dark. EK. It wasn't one big shocking thing, more like a collection of small details that created this overall feeling of madness. Something deeply wrong beneath the surface, without spelling it out.
Right. That hits that uncanny valley nerve, doesn't it? It's not about gore or jump scares. It's that feeling when something familiar, like a gaming setup, is subtly wrong, twisted somehow. It leaves you with this creepy, lingering feeling, even though you haven't seen anything concrete. It's the power of suggestion, that quiet sense of unease that can be way more effective sometimes than just showing you the monster. It makes your own mind fill in the blanks, which is often scarier. What is going on there?
So we've definitely journeyed through some strange and unsettling digital landscapes today, these weird corners where truth and fiction just seem to melt together, and you get these glimpses of, well, maybe human darkness, maybe just dark imagination.
Yeah, and looking at the bigger picture, what these stories really show is our enduring fascination with mystery, right? With the macabre, the unknown. Yeah. They force us to think about how we process information, especially anonymous information online. What makes people share this stuff? Is it catharsis, a cry for help, or just a desire to provoke, to disturb? It really highlights the power of narrative, even potentially fabricated ones.
So what does this all mean for you listening? Think about that anonymity we talked about on places like 4chan. Does it really allow for more truth to come out, maybe painful truths? Or does it just empower people to create darker, more convincing hoaxes? How much of the unsettling stuff we see online is just made to get a rise out of us, versus how much might be a real terrifying peek into something genuinely sinister? These are the kinds of questions these stories leave us with. We encourage you to keep thinking about them long after you're done listening today. And hey, if you found this deep dive interesting, please do consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel, Horror Docx. It helps us keep bringing these stories to light. Thanks for listening.